We believe all this illustrates the compelling need for this charter school in Faith. We have listened to your comments and suggestions from the last interview and attempted to reconcile what we can in the time we have had.
Hi, this is Jana Griggs. Thank you for having us back. I am, again, the Executive Director of Saving Grace Farm, a nonprofit organization that provides equine-assisted activities to people with special needs and disabilities. I'm also a PATH-certified therapeutic riding instructor and an equine specialist in mental health and learning. I have over 18 years experience working with people with special needs, and I was born and raised in Rowan County. Other than my years in college, I've lived here my entire life. My family moved to the Faith District so our children would be able to attend the best elementary school in our county. Over the past few years, it's been an emotional roller coaster for parents witnessing the fight between the school board and our community. So as a parent, I decided to join this board to be proactive rather than reactive. I don't want to jeopardize our children's education by waiting until the doors are closed. Some families can't afford private school, others can't homeschool, yet all would like the opportunity to have a say in our children's education. Today, we hope you are compelled to give myself and the 362 plus families who've signed up on SchoolMint and the hundreds who have written letters a choice for our children before it's too late. Thank you.
My name is Howard Torrance. I am the STEM and Exploring Director for Central North Carolina Council Boy Scouts of America. I work with students K through 12, teaching them about renewable resources and sustainable energy. I was previously a job coach in the OCS department at A.L. Brown High School, working with special needs students, helping them to build skills and preparing them for life after high school. Our goal at Faith Academy Charter is to develop a program geared toward college readiness and different career paths for a diverse student population. As per your feedback, we have adjusted our mission to reflect that desire. We will give students the tools needed to not only be able to go out into the world ready to seek out a career, but we will also prepare them for the challenges of attending a college or university. We also seek to ensure that our student body resembles that of the demographics of Rowan and Cabarrus County. We have made changes to our marketing to better reflect the diverse student body we wish to attract, including running ads in Spanish and developing a partnership with Smart Start for pre-K recruitment. Our 2 buses will make stops in the surrounding communities. We'll have a weighted lottery and will provide free and reduced lunches. By opening K through 7, we will be able to allow more siblings to attend the school, easing their parents' burden of different schedules and locations. Our middle schoolers will also begin to learn the life skills necessary to become successful citizens in their communities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liz Morrow, and I'm a CPA and will serve as treasurer on the board. However, my most important job is being a parent to 3 boys, ages 10, 11, and 16. Faith Academy Charter School will open with grades kindergarten through 7th, with plans to add a grade each year until we are a K-12 school. I fully believe that we can fill Faith Charter Academy. We have over 362 families on our interest list, despite not being allowed to hold community events other than Zoom meetings. We have several hundred letters of support, including a letter from our previous superintendent, Dr. Judy Grissom. We have 857 followers on our Facebook page and also 343 subscribers to our newsletters. Our enrollment will pull from a variety of areas in both Rowan and surrounding counties. Students will come first from the closures of Faith and Enochville elementary schools, from the LEA of over 18,000 students, 1,860 homeschool students, from the 280 Rowan County school students that attend Greystone Day School, a charter school in neighboring Stanley County, and finally from private schools. Many people have had to make very hard decisions about schools in our area in recent years. Many cannot afford to homeschool or use private schools. With the county school system restructuring, it is imperative there is a school ready to receive these students. It's very hard to convey how passionate we are about this new school, but please know that we are, and thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, advisory board members. I'm Tim Williams, Secretary for the Faith Academy Charter School Board. I've been a pharmacist for 42 years and am currently employed at Novant Health Rowan Medical Center. I served the town of Faith for 17 years as alderman, mayor pro tem, and mayor. I've been an advocate for children and youth all of my adult life, serving as youth director at Faith Lutheran Church for many years. I joined this board to continue advocating for children. Rowan-Salisbury School Board has begun the process of closing 2 of the most highly rated elementary schools in the school system, with public hearings set for both Faith School and Enochville School next week. Students from both of these schools and all the other students from around Rowan and Cabarrus counties should have a choice in their education, and we are honored that so many of them want to choose Faith Academy Charter School. We desperately need to have our school ready to go when these closings occur. Those students that will come to Faith Academy Charter School will create a world-class, diverse educational choice for the parents and students of our community and beyond. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, advisory board members. I'm Gene Miller, Vice Chairman of the board. I have a 30-year background in public education, having served most of those years as Assistant Superintendent of Operations and 10 of those years as School Finance Officer. While in the Rowan-Salisbury School District, I was responsible for additions and renovations at 24 schools and the building of 4 new ones. At Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, I was responsible for building 7 new schools and renovations and additions at 36 others. My experience helps me understand how vital an accelerated opening is for our charter. We have a tract of land already properly zoned and ideal for our site needs. And with your approval, we can have permits in hand in a short period of time. Our seller will assist with roads, water and sewer lines, and property clearing. Mr. Steve Hubert, our contractor, is ready to start. There is financing in place from Performance ACD. We have backup plans B and C in case the building is not ready in the fall of 2021. If we do not close on this present property within the month, we will lose this site. There is not another site in the Faith area. We understand facility needs, and we know that there is no money until we get our certificate of occupancy, and we will not come back to request a delay. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Okay, board, this is Mr. Reeves. Thank you. I believe that's everyone on the board. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
At this time, we will turn to the Charter School Advisory Board members for your questions. As you remember, last month we were, I guess, basically trying to determine if the community school was going to close. And you can see that they sent, this board sent us in notes from the county board meetings about the discussion. And, you know, for this particular school, they have put in an accelerated application. So part of the acceleration requirement is that there's a compelling need. And secondly, that there is a facility in place. So I would like to turn to the charter board members for your questions at this time.
Ms. Please, I'll start. This is Mr. Friend, and I appreciate the board coming back before us here this afternoon and hear the excitement and passion and commitment that you have today as we heard it back in September. So I'll start with the question that I asked last month, which is, it proved to me that there's a compelling need. It's based on closing with primary compelling need. And the school it's not been decided that the school is closing. We had asked if you could provide us a letter of support from the school district. We had indicated that would go a long way in helping us feel more confident, or I'll say myself more confident. Do you have that support from the
Mr. Wilhelm, would you like to address that? So Mr. Friend asked in our last meeting, or suggested in our last meeting, that if you could get a letter of support from the Rowan-Salisbury School District on supporting your efforts to open a charter school in Faith. Were you able to secure such a letter?
No, and I think that would be impossible in any school system for them to say, we want to give our students to another school. We've talked with them, as you see in one of the board meetings that they had when they talked about setting up to close Faith School, that they had good relations with us because we have been talking with them for over a year about this, nearly 2 years. And we've always had good comments from them, but you know, they're not going to give us a letter, I'm sure, we ask.
Did you ask them?
I asked the chairman of the board, yes.
Thank you.
CSAB members, other questions?
Madam Chair, this is Rita Hare. Could they address the status of the facility and the contingency plan also?
Okay, board members, you spoke to Plan A, B, and C. Maybe we'll refer that question to Mr. Miller since he has experience opening, building and opening new facilities and other systems. Mr. Miller, can you address your facility plans A, B, and C?
Yes, I'll be glad to. Thank you. Obviously, first of all, if we can close on our charter and get started, we have a contractor who says that he will have the building underway in a very short period of time. It's already properly zoned. Only thing we're waiting on is that we own the land and can get the permits. We have the financing in place. Now, we do understand it's a very ambitious plan to build that building and have it ready for August. So our plan B is that we would either purchase or more than likely would lease mobile units. The property that we have is a little over 26 acres. It is very adequate and has building spaces on it for us to put mobiles and would not impede the progress of building the new building. So, and we know that can be done. Our contractor has already looked into the possibility of getting some mobiles from either another charter school or else getting those from companies. And I have lots of experience in renting and purchasing and leasing mobiles, as I did in Rowan and Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. That would be Plan B. Plan C is if that were not to happen for whatever reason, and I can't imagine that Plan B would not work. We have two churches in our community in the Faith area, just a block or two away from where we will build our school, that have offered their educational buildings. Our contractor has looked at those and has told us that remodeling those or redesigning those on a temporary basis to accommodate us would not be a problem. So yes, there is a good Plan B in place, and there is a Plan C in place where that either one of A and B were not to happen. Does that answer your question?
Partially. It brings up a few more from me, Mr. Miller. So with regards to Plan A, you have, I think what you submitted in the application was there is a piece of property that you guys are, as soon as you get the green light, ready to purchase. The facility that you would like to build, how many, what would be the square footage for that facility?
Initially, that building would be, of course, we're starting out with K7. That building would start out at about 38,000 square feet, and it would be designed so that we could add on as we go along.
Okay, and the property itself right now, does it have water, sewer?
Yes, it does. Has city water and city sewer, and the county. Yes.
Just to clarify, it's not it's a piece of land, correct?
Excuse me, I didn't understand that.
It's a piece of land.
Yes, it's a piece of land, but there is a facility, a manufacturing facility right adjacent to it that has water and sewer lines already run. And the person we're buying it from has said he would assist us in getting the land cleared and getting those water lines installed to the pad that we need, and also working with grading for a parking lot.
Right. I mean, I think my position on this isn't within the framework or the criteria for acceleration. You know, schools that request acceleration, we approved one of them yesterday. But Old Mainstream has a facility that is on a college campus that is available like right now to be used as a school. That generally is what we see. So just for my fellow board members, when we talk about having a piece of property that we could build on into backup plans, to me, does not meet the threshold criteria for acceleration.
Well, the problem with the acceleration right now on our end of this is one of the few pieces, and maybe the only piece of property in the Faith area that will accommodate what we want to do. And the owner has another buyer wanting to buy this property. He has given us first right of refusal, but if we don't get approval for acceleration, then we're going to lose our ability to buy that piece of property. And I'm not sure where we would go as far as finding a facility after that. It puts us in a very bad situation.
Right. I mean, but that's not really material to the application. You needing approval by a certain time to secure a piece of land that you have first right of refusal is not, I mean, that's not really relevant. The point is schools that come before us with acceleration have a facility already stood up, essentially ready to turnkey.
Well, there are obviously, other reasons that compel us to want to have acceleration. Getting the building, I believe, is one of the statements that you made was one of the first needs that the school would have. If you don't have a building, you don't have a location, then it would be hard to get a school open.
Right. What I'm saying is schools that apply for acceleration usually have a unique circumstance where they have access to an existing facility that's already in place. We've had schools that partner with a local college where the college is providing a facility for them, or they're already running a school, things like that. This is just generally it's a standard application where you have a piece of property that you've kind of identified and you're trying to secure it. I mean, that's pretty standard.
Has there been any discussion with the school, if indeed the local elementary school is, that they might lease it or rent it here?
Yes, we've talked with them in the past, and they seem to be open to that, but, they haven't been able to have their meetings to close the school, and we really believe it's going to close. And there's, I think we're unique that we have everything put together, ready to build a building and have the school started, whether we have a building now or not. We have that property that we can use, and we have been told, and no doubt in my mind, that we can have mobiles put up on that property to start school with next August.
Yeah, that's not particularly unique. Most boards that come before us tell us that they have a piece of property that they're going to be able to build a school on. I mean, again, when we talk about acceleration, we're talking about something that is unique and uniquely compelling. And in this case, again, I would say it doesn't meet the criteria.
Could I speak to the Plan C, the churches, please? This is Tim Williams. In addition to what you just asked about Faith Elementary School, that can certainly be an option for us down the road, and I think probably sooner than later. But please keep that in mind. I think that's certainly an option for us. Plan C is the two churches in Faith that have granted their approval to be backups for starting up in an accelerated rate. Faith Lutheran Church has granted their church. They have just completed, it's been a while, but they just paid off, and that's a wonderful thing, a new Family Life Center, which is a large structure. It has a large gathering room about 2.5 blocks away from the site. They have a full standard-sized gym, a commercial kitchen, 4 large bathrooms with showers and 4 stalls in each one, 2 sinks in each one. Also, other additional bathrooms in the other part of the facility. In the classroom area, there are large gathering classrooms that can be large gathering areas that can be switched over to classrooms. There's a large youth room that can house 2 different classrooms, as well as a choir room for at least 2 or 3 classrooms, a chapel that could be a classroom. There are 15 other classrooms in the church, in addition to the large sanctuary. So that is all possible. And as far as the other church is concerned, that's Shiloh Reformed Church. It is of a similar building type. They also have a large family life center, lots of parking space. Faith Lutheran also has a shelter and an outdoor space for children to play, as well as Shiloh as well. So we have a facility that is there waiting for us to use it should the mobiles not pan out, and should Faith School, the building, not pan out for us to use. The board has set a precedent in giving those buildings to the community, as they did at Cleveland, for Cleveland Elementary School when they closed it. Thank you.
Okay, so charter board members, I just want you to keep in mind the statute requirements for acceleration, and part of it is having a facility ready to physically inhabit. So are there other questions with the application in general? I know I have a few, one being the grade span of K-7 for year 1. You're talking about Faith Elementary is a K-5. There's only 236 students. And this plan wants to open in year 1 with K-7, 500 students. So I think that's a little aggressive. A question from another board member is, what about Faith Academy will make it unique, curriculum speaking, on the mission? I know in the plan you talk about project-based learning and CTE for high school, but that does not tie to the mission at all. So could someone please speak to the ed plan and why, what's the draw for parents other than my school's closing and I need somewhere else to go?
Okay, our school, the elementary school we're talking about, just within the past 5 or 6 years had nearly 500 students in it. Our school board has redistricted and taken some away, and this year alone, nearly 100 students have gone to other schools. We know we have the people who want to come, and we believe we can fill it up. They're telling us they want it.
That's another concern of mine with the declining population at Faith Elementary. So you're saying that that's because of redistricting? Yes,
a lot of it's because of redistricting over the last few years. They built 2 new schools and transferred students away from us. At one time, they had like 10 mobile units at our school because it was so big.
It's important for you to know that we have revised our mission statement. Please look at that. It's at the top of all of this.
This is Joe here. I want to remind everyone on the board here that one of the most important compelling reasons is demand and need in the community. The only other charter school, as we all know, is SMA, a very small school in a district of nearly 19,000 students. They've already, I think, said something about 350 students saying they're willing and ready to sign up for the school. If that's not a compelling reason for enrollment, I don't know what is. Facility, the property being available, but more importantly to me, as every board would dream, to have a caliber of a Gene Miller on the board that's been involved with school construction for many, many years, and folks on the board that have already worked within the school district there. I think it's a very, very compelling reason to move this forward in an accelerated fashion.
Mr. Mamoni, this is Mr. Friend again. I appreciate this. I apologize if I stuck on this compelling argument that's based upon the local school closing. For all intent and purposes, it sounds like this local school is a good school, and if people could prevent it from closing, they would. And it seems like a pretty good place to, that the students are getting a good education. So I guess I have a question. I mean, I'm going to ask Briggs. You're one of the parents on the board whose kids go to the local school, correct? Ms. Briggs?
Hi, I only heard part of that question. I think I heard you ask a parent of a child at the local elementary school, and that would be me. I have two fifth graders.
I'm sorry, Ms. Moore. So yeah, my question is this. Again, I'm going back to the compelling interest. This is a good school that's potentially closing, which is the driving force behind why you want to open a charter school. And I get that, completely get that. But would there be 350 applicants? Would you be looking to send your kid to another school? And would you be behind this school of choice if it weren't for the fact that the other school might be closing?
One thing I wanted to add that I think answers your question is on our interest list, our families, I found it very exciting and interesting. Our families were from all over. They were from other charter schools, from private schools, from homeschools, from other schools in the district. So it does appear to me that families are very excited about this school, not just Faith Elementary School students. But I personally am excited. I know Faith is closing, but it really is the community that just adds so much to the school. And again, it's hard to convey over a Zoom meeting, but our community is a special place and just has so many volunteers, and we just have a reputation and faith of having a great charter school. And then I have to send my children there, of course.
Speaking to
Mr. Friend, I couldn't unmute myself. I am sorry about that. I was trying to answer your question if you would allow me. Sure. As a parent, yes, my children have been there as well. At the moment, they are not. I moved my son, as soon as he went to the middle school grades, he went to the charter school outside the county because I didn't feel there was a middle school in this area that I felt was appropriate for him. And I know several other parents from Faith and from other local schools that have moved their children. I think we said there was 230 some from Rowan County that have moved to that school. So that's a significant number of Rowan County students that are going to a middle school charter school outside of our county, driving 30, 45 minutes or more if they're coming from the other side of the county to take their children to a charter school. And I know multiple families that have spoken to me personally that they would much rather have a charter school in this county because they do not want to transfer their kids that far. That's a lot of drive time. It's a long distance to that school. It's not like it's on the edge of the county. It's over towards the center of Stanley County. So there's, yes, a lot of reasons that parents would want a charter school beyond the reason of the school closing. You also have two elementary schools closing, and they have threatened to close Granite Court as well as soon as they build this mega elementary school that they want to build. So there's multiple instances of them desiring to close these schools. Three that I know of off the bat, and there's been lots of talk about there being a need of a charter school in this community because parents are unsatisfied with the local school system. They just don't feel like they have another choice because they can't afford private school. So I hope that answers your question.
So I'm still waiting for someone to answer the question regarding the ed plan. What makes this ed plan unique and special so that it would attract students from all over Rowan County, not just the Faith community, and not just because the school is closing?
Sarah, can you talk about that?
George, perhaps we should start with our new mission and then let Sarah speak. If that would be good.
Go ahead and read it if you want to.
Faith Academy Charter School will prepare a diverse student body for college and career through project-based learning, life skills courses, and career technical education pathways. Through this challenging and supportive learning environment, students address real-world problems and to become successful citizens and community leaders in a rapidly changing world.
Okay, I would like to address that. My experience has been with the public schools and Rowan Salisbury school system. I'm very familiar with the programs that they have there. I have talked with parents. Some of the programs are no longer there because, you know, Rowan Salisbury is a renewal school district, so every school was kind of doing something different. And looking at the programs, we started talking about the different programs we could do, as well as the plot of land we could bring the kids outside the classroom to have more of a learning environment, which is very unique in that area. As well as that, we could join forces with the community college. We've already had some discussions with them to have different courses operated. The project-based learning, life skills courses, the college and technical education pathways, we have resources to do that. But I think the unique thing is that bringing the volunteers that we have that are trained in these areas, having youth to come in and from the other schools to come in and kind of present, youth, I'm talking about the colleges and universities, and advocate with those people. As in any school you start, we have outlined programs we'll put in place, but I think the most key thing is that we will meet with parents individually to discuss what things they would like for the child, such as the EC population. We want to provide that, the mobility of kids. So our programs will be unique because we're offering things that are going K through 7, that everything makes a transition and is also weaved within there. So I think that is what makes it unique.
Charter Board members, are there other questions?
Could we just have someone talk about how you arrived at units of study as the reading and writing program?
Yes, I will be glad to talk about that. My experience, I've been very much involved in a reading program, and one unique thing that I have done and been successful with, we have adopted Lucy Calkins. We have adopted several other programs. Lester Lamnick, who is a writer, who will actually come to the school. But what I have found in my experience through the mobility of the students, and we're going to be serving all children from Rowan County as well as outside the county, as the reading program that I use as an assistance to coming in there and actually assess where the children are. And then we can pattern a program for them that meets their needs. What often happens, the kids are busy, mobility from one school to another, they lose some unique skills. We're going to do the reading panel initiatives, have that as our foundation. We're going to use Lucy Calkins as one of our programs. We are going to have thematic approaches. We plan to have a reading lab, and we're having a reading classroom with different level books, things of that sort. But as anything, when you start out of school, we need to see what children we are serving. How many EC kids are we going to have? How many second language kids are we going to have? How many children that have not had anybody in the home to read to them? Those are unique things we want to make sure we connect with volunteers and staff members. We're also going to have our after-school program that identifies children that are at risk immediately to provide some one-on-one help with those children, such as reading tutors. The reading tutors are trained with such things as how to, alphabet is a good example. Many of the children that come to schools now have no one to read to them.
Tell me about the tutors again.
Okay, I have done this for many years. I have trained reading tutors to work with individuals, and these are paraprofessionals.
Where can I find this in the application?
I'm not specifically sure it addresses that. I was trying to talk about that when I did my introduction of something I had done that I had success with. What reading tutors are, basically, there are people that have the skills to sit down with kids with its guided reading, independent reading. It's an extra time to help those children that do not have a family situation at home to help them. And this will be an extended school day for those children. We'll provide transportation for them, a snack for them, someone to work with the skills that they need immediately when we see there is a problem. It's not something you wait to the end of the quarter. If we're doing guided reading, we have a child that's having problems with pronouncing words or understanding meaning, we quickly go and address that. What happens sometimes, and that's why I've had success with this, we did not wait to the quarter, the report card. We did it immediately once we assessed the children.
Thank you, Ms. Hemsley. Okay, guys, our time is up. I'm putting out to the board members, charter board members, last call for any questions, clarification. I do have a question about transportation. The budget only calls for one bus. You're trying to enroll 500 students. If somebody very quickly could speak to the transportation and lunch plan and the demographics of the school. What do you expect your demographics to be, especially with regards to educationally disadvantaged students?
Hi, as treasurer, I'm going to speak to the transportation and the school lunch plan. I just want to apologize. We are planning on having 2 buses. I think there was a typo in the charter application. At the top, it only said 1 bus, but actually that money is included later in the transportation area where it includes gas and repairs, that kind of thing. So our overall budget number for 2 buses is $75,000 the first year. And that came from other charter schools that have historical experience with this, and that has been an amount that they have used. But of course, if we need to increase this, we would be more than willing to do that. And then the school lunch, we have $50,000 the first year in our budget for school lunches, and I think that addresses the percentage that we have for economically disadvantaged students. And again, if we need to increase this number, we can to go into our surplus or ask for donations, whatever it needs to be. But we definitely want to provide those 2 things for our students.
So you're going to provide lunch but not participate in the National Lunch Program, right?
That is the plan at first, yes.
And so what did you say your anticipated EDS number is?
22% is the number that's in our application.
Does that mirror the LEA?
Yes, it does. It mirrors the numbers in our county. Someone else, if they have, I think that's what it is. It's the percent of the poverty level in our county is what that is.
But you don't know what it is for the school system?
Does anyone else on the board know for the school system? I know that's the number that we felt comfortable with at first from a budget standpoint that we could do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna give you board, Faith Academy Board, your 10 minutes to wrap up.
Okay, I'm going to start with that.
Wilhelm, thank you.
All right, Faith Academy Charter School will foster an atmosphere that allows students to feel free to express themselves in the community and the real world. This will be achieved through supporting them with responsive classrooms, project-based learning, hands-on learning, and life skill courses that enable students to problem solve and be successful in their lives. Whether they choose to become a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, a nurse, auto mechanic, farmer, welder, factory worker, an accountant, or even a COO of a national company, we want to prepare them with a supportive staff and community. The Board of Faith Academy Charter School understands the risk involved in the accelerated track. We understand the risk is great. If we do not open the school next fall, it would be devastating to our community and this proposed school. However, the Board of Faith Charter School is ready to start the process now. Our board has vast experiences that have prepared us for this endeavor. The Ready to Open section was about the things we have already prepared for. We have land, a contractor, financing available, a great curriculum, and top-level educator as our administrator, not to mention the hundreds of parents that are ready to send their children to us. The land we have is perfect for the school: water, sewer, and zoning. This land could be sold to someone else if we can't procure it this year. We have to have a charter to produce the finances to produce this land. We know they are going to close our school. Only COVID-19 delayed the public hearing to close at the end of this school year, and our sister school in Enidville also. The feasibility study created by the Salisbury-Rowan system and the knowledge of our parents about closing has caused nearly 100 students from Faith to move to other schools this year. It's a done deal that is well accepted. We do not want our community students to be spread all over the district, and we also wish that we can bring together a diversified student body and spread the community spirit of Faith, North Carolina, to all the area of Rowan County and the surrounding counties. The economy of our small town is highly dependent on the revenue from business that parents, students, and teachers provide. Local businesses would suffer from the loss of Faith Elementary and would continue to prosper under a Faith Academy. You have heard our compelling reasons for asking for an accelerated charter school. Now we ask you, if this was your community and proposed charter school, would these facts not be compelling to you? If your community and county were counting on you based on letters of support and interest list, would this not be compelling to you? If you were sincere in wanting to invite your whole county to become a part of your community, and the only land in the community suitable for a charter school would be sold to someone else, if that charter was not given to you this year, would that not be compelling to you? If your county school board is planning to close your community school, and dates for hearings had been set on October the 19th and 20th, and a date for a final decision set for October the 26th to close your school, would that not be compelling to you? If you knew that your county school system was losing students because parents were not satisfied with that system, and you could offer them a better solution, would that not be compelling to you? If you felt the urgency of the community, the landowner, the financer, the contractor, the parents, and you had a great plan A, plan B, and plan C, would that not be compelling to you? We know your committee has to act for the Department of Public Education, but you also have to act for the public's ability to have charter schools where there is a need and support from a community. That is why I ask you to put yourselves in our position as you consider whether our charter has compelling reasons for acceleration. All these reasons have compelled us to ask for an acceleration despite the risk. We are asking for your support in providing the opportunity to have another vital charter school in North Carolina. I hope our committee has provided you with all the readiness and preparedness to start the school for fall of 2021. Your decision today determines the fate of this charter school. Thank you for your time. And now Board Member Tim Williams wishes to speak to you for the remainder of the time. Tim.
Hi again, board members, and thank you again for allowing us to speak with you today. I'd like to tell you a story about Joshua. For several years now, this group of people and many on our advisory board and also the community endowment have been a group of people that have tried to do their best for having a wonderful continued quality education for the students in our area. At one of our larger meetings at the Rowan County Fairground, we had many people there, approaching 300, and each of them was given the time to speak if they wanted. Everyone was having good things to say, and it was a very well attended and very well spoken group of people. After the time was over, I had come forward to see me was a nice lady and her son. And the lady came up to me and she tried to speak, but she could not. She broke down and she cried, and she said, finally, Mr. Williams, she said, I would like to talk with you. She said, I have my son with me. I'm a single parent, and I'm worried about his education. She said, because you see, he is autistic, and he has been at several schools and has not done well until he came to faith. And he said, the people in this community and the teachers have all been supportive of him, and he has excelled. And she said, I am afraid, I'm very anxious, I'm very nervous that things might not happen so good any longer for Joshua. So I knelt down beside of Joshua, and I looked at Joshua in the eyes, and before I could even speak to him, this cute little fella gave me the biggest bear hug that I have ever had before. And I said, Joshua, do you like where you go to school? And he said, yes, sir. And I said, well, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you have a good place to go to school, and I don't want you to ever worry about it. We're going to do the best we can. So I stood up and I talked to Sandy again, his mom. She's a single mom. And I said, Sandy, I'm going to do the very best I can, and I know that the people here are going to do the very best we can to continue the education, the type of education that we have and that we have all along in Faith, North Carolina. The next day, or not the next day, just recently, I went to pick up my grandson. His name is Brooks. I went to pick him up at Faith Elementary School after school. And as I went through the driver line, he got in the car and he buckled up and he looked at me and he said, Papa, I have a new friend in school today. And I said, you do? And he said, yes, his name is Joshua. And I said, well, Brooks, I think your Papa knows who Joshua is. And he said, well, how do you know him? And I said, well, I met him because of working with the schools. And he said, well, he is supposed to be in the 3rd grade, but his mommy wanted him to stay in the 2nd grade so he and I could be friends. So they talked about their Minecraft games or whatever they are that they do. And he was so appreciative of having Joshua. And I told him, I said, Brooks, please be sure that you take care of Joshua, that you look after Joshua. And he said, I do. I just helped him with his +2s and his -2s. Well, having told you this story and having said all of that, his parent, Joshua's parent, Sandy, is the same as Brooks' parent, maybe in a different way, but all the parents in Rowan County have shed tears. All the parents in the Faith area have shed tears for the things that have gone on and the instability that we feel as parents and grandparents in our area. There is no stability. There is much anxiety, and there is a huge reason, a compelling reason to have this charter school for all these people that need some stability in their educational lives for their children. So I ask you, I implore you, I don't even mind begging you to allow this accelerated portion of the charter to continue and to approve it today. As you think about it, as you deliberate about it, think about the Joshuas and the Brookses of our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you, board members. I believe we need to go into deliberations with the charter board now. If my fellow board members would allow me for just a moment to think back on a situation where we had last year. I believe we had another school that there wasn't clarity about the facility. Does someone remember the name of that school? I know we delayed action on their application we postponed it for a month or two. For me, it seems that we're still caught up on the question of whether or not Faith Elementary is closing. The board, Faith Academy's board, has told us that that decision will be coming from the Board of Education of Rowan-Salisbury School System within the next week or so. So then we would have a definitive answer on that question. And I also posit that currently having a piece of land, in my opinion, does not meet the need for, does not meet the criteria for acceleration. But if this board were to come back and have a facility in hand, and we get the decision from the Rowan Salisbury School Board, I might be more inclined to feel that they've met the acceleration. So what are the thoughts of my fellow board members? Are you okay with us postponing the decision until next month when we have further information? What are your thoughts?
Madam Chair, this is Silda Parlay. I'm in favor of that. So they're coming back to make sure that they have a facility in place, ready to open, and turnkey, as Chairman Quigley stated earlier.
I mean, I think that the church, I looked into the original application submission notes that the church, that I believe there's an agreement in the Office of Charter Schools, if you could verify that there is a signed agreement with the church as a facility that they could stand up. I don't know.
There is.
Yes, that's in the application.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, that's a viable backup. I think, you know, it seems like based on what they're saying that a big question is going to be answered in a month.
This is Rita Hare. We thought that last month as well, as a word of caution. It's the reason we put them off to this month. It does delay. According to the chair, they may lose their land with the delay, but I do think we have to follow statute and not make exceptions because of their compelling arguments today.
I mean, I will say first, you know, just as a point of clarification that, you know, the acceleration isn't a statute where it's, you know, hard and fast. It's basically a set of 4 factors that are looked at that are somewhat subjective because they're just basically couched in subjective terms. So it's a policy as opposed to a bright line, you know, statutory rule like say we would have for renewals. And to me, I think this school meets it. I think that we are their facility plan is fine. They've got the issue right now where, you know, they're talking about the land, but they've got backup plans. They got a plan B and a plan C. I mean, they've got some options here that are there. And so I think with that, and then also given that it looks like this school is going to close, you know, just really adds to, for me, the compelling interest of this thing. I think this school is going to be great. And I think we need to just go ahead and move them forward with acceleration. I think this is a pretty clear case to me. I think we could, of course, put it off another month. We put it off another month, and we may be sitting here talking about the same thing. It's not like if we move them for acceleration right now, the state board's going to be looking at it for a couple months. So it's not like it's a thing that's over with. But I think we need to go ahead and move this off our plate. It's a great application, a great board, and I think they're going to be a great school. And I think we should just go ahead and move them on forward with acceleration now. Our delay may be the thing that messes up this great opportunity that they have, and I think we just need to go ahead and move forward.
Ms. Reeves, this is Mr. Friend. Something I was going to ask a question, which is, I think Ms. Harris correct is what are in front of us this month because we thought the decision from the local school board may have been made by now and hasn't. So now we might be talking about waiting another month. I mean, if we approve them for acceleration today, and for whatever reason, the local school board doesn't close that school, that's going to be known information when they go before the State Board of Ed for final approval. So I will say I'm leaning now toward going ahead and with Mr. Walker and moving them forward for acceleration at this point.
Yeah, Mr. Chair or Sherry, I think it's that you're running this. I will move that we approve Faith, or that we recommend to the state board that Faith Academy be moved to ready to open status with acceleration.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Is that you, Bruce?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do we have any discussion of the motion? That's to move Faith Academy forward to ready to open on an accelerated basis.
Madam Chair, if we vote in favor of that today, when is the next time this board would report to us a status update?
I believe that would be like April.
Okay. Thank you.
We start, because we'll go into the RTO process immediately. And I believe we start getting our ready to open reports in April and May.
And Madam Chair, I'm leaning towards Stephen's rationale. Hilda Parlay.
Okay.
I mean, I think that there is an element here that I think the district on some level is going to watch what we're doing. Certainly, if this school is approved, I think it'll probably make that decision even easier for the school district. Much easier, I would imagine. If you reading the notes in the news articles, I mean, they're watching, they cite this decision as a factor in their decision. So I think it would accelerate that. I would like to see the school have a weighted lottery and full use of the federal school lunch program. And I would certainly feel a lot better about supporting it if that was the case. And I think, frankly, the state board is probably going to want to see the same thing as from an accelerated school. And it's going to make it hard to, I think that's going to be a question that I'm going to struggle to answer if they haven't done the weighted lottery.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All right, Ms. McCarroll, will you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, I will. All right, this motion is to move Academy forward to the RTO process on an accelerated status. Jeanette Butterworth?
Aye.
Joel Ford? Bruce Friend?
Aye.
Rita Hare?
Aye.
Lynn Kroger?
Aye.
Hilda Parlay?
I approve.
Alex Quigley?
Alex?
Approve.
Sherry Reeves?
Aye.
Cheryl Turner? Heather Van Cannon?
Aye.
And Stephen Walker?
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously.
Okay, Faith Academy, congratulations. This will go before the State Board of Education and hopefully they'll agree.
Well, we thank you so much. This means so much to our community, and we do have a weighted lottery, and we work on those school lunches, but we mean to do this. We are serious, and we thank you for understanding that.
All right, you've got a lot of work to do in the next few months.
We do, but we really have worked a lot of it out with the last RTO session. We had done everything they want us to do.
All right, we are ready to move to our last interview of the day, School of the Arts for Boys. This is their round 2 interview. If you, Dr. Jones, want to give an introduction.
Coming again this afternoon is the School of the Arts for Boys Charter for their second round interview. Their proposed school is in Chatham County. Odd. Here's an overview of their proposal. Grades 3 through 12, starting year 1 with 104 students, going to grade 3 through 12 by year 6 with a total of 412. Yes, food service, no national lunch program. Yes, transportation, weighted lottery, and no LEA impact statement.
Before you turn it over to them. I know
All
we
right,
had some
we are ready for
questions.
the applicant's 10-minute opening statement.
Hey,
Before we turn it over to them, Ashley, Stephen was about to ask a question, so I want to make sure we get that answered.
Okay, go
sorry
ahead,
about
Stephen.
that. My internet's going a little crazy, so sometimes y'all are like, it'll be really quiet, and then I'll hear y'all really fast, where it's catching me back up. So I'm sorry about that, but I know we had a couple questions that legal was looking into about both the mission statement and some employment issues that were in the application. Did we get an answer back from legal about that?
Mr. Walker, this is Dave Machado, and I don't want to speak for our legal department, but in the conversations that I have had, the mission statement is a concern, and that might need to have some work done to it, but felt like the application was clear that they understood for their enrollment policies that they would have to accept all students, not just students of color. So overall, it's my understanding that the mission statement is not a reason to reject this applicant. Okay.
And you can see, this is Ms. Becerra, you can see on the screen here that they have revised their mission statement.
And then did we hear anything about the, I think they were looking at the the employment section as well, where it said that the hiring targets would be Black and brown males. And I think they were just, that they were looking into that too, to make sure that there wasn't any legal issue with that.
I believe that is also going to be revised, similar to how they've revised the mission statement.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, just to be clear, this is a second round interview for them, correct?
Yes, second round.
Okay.
Are we ready for their opening statement?
Ashley, one more point of clarification.
Yes.
Was this an acceleration also?
Yes.
It is? Okay, yes. All right, I believe we are ready for the applicant's 10-minute introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Valencia Toomer, the founder and head of school for SABA. Thank you guys so much for offering us an additional opportunity to come before you today to speak of the uniqueness of SABA. Since our last time we have spent the past 30 days, they have been very advantageous to us in collecting things that could tighten and strengthen our application even more, to develop more partnerships, to make sure we solidified our budget, and to make sure that our curriculum framework is all interwoven. Regarding the mission statement, from the feedback from the first interview, we want to make sure that we do not give the impression that SABA will not enroll all boys, which is why we opted, even though there were questions around the legal parameters of our mission statement. And thankfully, that is not hindering us from moving forward. But as a board, we wanted to ensure that the community knows that we are accepting all boys, which is why you see before you an updated and revised mission and vision statement to replace Black and brown with culturally and linguistically diverse boys. While we recognize that CSAB has the opportunity to read and review all 309 pages of our application. The community does not. And we want to make sure that it is very clear that SABA is open to receive and welcome all boys that enroll. As for our partnerships that we were able to garner in addition to what was submitted the first time, we secured partnerships with North Carolina Central University. They have a program that is focused on African American boys, as well as the opportunity to allow student teachers to participate at SABA. We also gained partnership with the North Carolina Arts Council. As you know, A+ is under the umbrella of the North Carolina Arts Council. Preston Development has also agreed to partner with us. They are the builders and founders of Chatham Park, which is located in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and SABA will be nestled right in the heart of Chatham Park. So we are very thankful that they were willing to partner with us. And we also have a fellow charter school in the arts-based charter school who has also agreed to serve as mentors for us as we're moving through the Ready to Open process. So while the arts, I'm going to have Mike Wiley to come forth at this time.
Thank you, Mrs. Toomer. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer, if you are a pretender, come sit by my fire. We have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in, come in. Imagine, if you will, a world where Shel Silverstein's open invitation to dream has been lost, stolen, or silenced, or simply only extends to the affluent. For 40 million poor and impoverished families in the United States, this is a reality. For the 1 in 4 children living below the poverty line here in North Carolina, it is everyday life. However, speaking as a SABA board member and an artist in residence, and as I was once one of those 40 million, I know it doesn't have to be. Studies repeatedly find that an arts-based curriculum is positively associated with more complex brain development, higher school achievement, e.g. math, reading, SAT scores, graduation rates, etc., and a host of other gauges of long-term social, economic, and emotional well-being. Research also suggests that the earlier the introduction to music, dance, poetry, dramatic interpretation, and other fine arts, the greater the impact or benefit. Furthermore, the opportunity for educational enrichment in a safe and nurturing environment promises greater readiness for school among young children in historically underfunded and underrepresented communities. The arts are a way to counter some of those disadvantages that accrue due to a lack of economic advantage, helping to develop a sense of community and empowerment, which is what we want to do and what we will do. For instance, frequent performances of small ensembles, be it music ensembles, be it dramatic ensembles, and combined with orchestral groups help develop pride and self-confidence in students, in community. Because as Stephen Sondheim so aptly slipped into the score of West Side Story, there's a place for us. Somewhere there is a place for us. That place in Onslow County is Zecca School of the Arts and Technology. In Forsyth County, it's arts-based school. In Wake, it's Raleigh Charter. And here in Chatham County, we believe that it could and should be SABA. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Mr. Logan.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Toomer. Good afternoon. I'm Robert Logan, a SABA board member, and I would like to share with you a few responses to our first meeting. Some questions that you had, we want to provide some clarity. One was that of conflict of interest, the fact that there are several couples on our charter board. Currently, there are 2 couples on the board of directors, Tavares and Valencia Toomer and Robert and Sonia Logan. Mr. Toomer plans to resign from the board once the school is open, but will continue to provide expertise and support to the school by serving on the Saba Budget Finance Committee. His background is budget and finance. Sonia and I, my wife Sonia and I, are both career educators. Even though our why is the same, we stand on our individual merit and reputation as educators who are all about doing what's best for students. The board does not see a conflict with these couples serving on the board at this time, and we're all about doing what's best and providing in the best interest for young people. I would also like to clarify a point that was asked about our teacher recruitment policy that we have in our application. Saba will adhere to, obviously, all of the federal, state, EEOC recruitment and hiring rules, regulations, policies, practices, etc. Attention will be given to the establishing and sustaining of a staff that mirrors the makeup of the student body. There's research that indicates that it's important for children to see and interact with every day people who look like themselves. And we are very much interested in having that cultural and linguistically diverse teacher staff makeup that our students will mirror. In doing so, the goal will be for the teachers to be highly qualified, and all federal, state, and CSAB hiring laws and guidelines will be followed. I can go into the facilities now if you would like that information as well.
Yeah, let's go ahead and that's kind of the main first question here. So let's get into that.
Very good. If you hear a noise behind me, I have 8 gentlemen on my roof. I'm having a new roof put on my home. They are extremely noisy. They are banging and knocking. So if you hear something, that's what it is. I'll try to speak above it so that it doesn't impede your hearing the comments. Well, Saba, our school, has a facility plan for the first 2 years and a permanent facility plan for years 3 and beyond. Year 1, we will open with 116 students, grades 3 through 5, and increase to 144 students year 2, and the addition of the 6th grade. It is estimated that we will need 8 classrooms over the first 2 years. Saba has secured a local community center, the Sprott Youth Center, for this time from 2021 to 2023. Our application contains a letter of commitment and a facility diagram from the Sprott Youth Center, providing their support and commitment to Saba over the next 2 years. The center includes 4 existing classrooms, a commons area, a gymnasium, an outdoor playground, kitchen and serving area, restrooms, offices, and storage areas. The facility has a total of 9,500 square feet. Some of the commons area and the gym area will be renovated to develop the necessary 8 600 square foot classrooms over the next 2-year period. Rent has been negotiated at $6,000 a month, and the center has agreed to provide utilities for the school. This is a community center. Therefore, parents and students are already familiar with the facility. They know where it's located, and they're comfortable with the location. The community center administrators have agreed not to rent or allow any other use of the facility over the 2-year period of time. Now, after the 2-year period, we already have a promissory note for the donation of 10 acres of property in the Pittsboro community. We will immediately start, upon approval of our application, a building fundraising. We will add 7th and 8th grades to the school in year 3. Plans are to move into a permanent facility during the 23-24 school year into the facility built on the property that has already been promised or donated to the school. So we have a 2-year guaranteed facility that has more than enough square footage to accommodate the school and the students, and plans for construction of a long-term permanent facility starting with the 23-24 school year.
So just to clarify, the facility, you have a 2-year facility established. Is that the facility that referenced in what was referenced in the original application? I guess this is a question for the Office of Charter Schools.
Yes. there is a letter of commitment from the Sprott Youth Center in the original application and a diagram of the center offering the layout, the square footage, and of course, some renovation will be necessary in that we wish to convert that open space into 8 classrooms.
Okay.
3 classrooms already exist, so we would have to convert some of the open area to 5 more classrooms.
Okay. And then, okay, there was a question about just real quick about the board structure. We know Ms. Toomer is going to be the school leader, and then Mr. Toomer is going to exit the board, or it was said that he's going to exit the board but be the finance director. But he was going to be on the finance committee, and just want to clarify, you can't be on the finance committee if he probably should not be on the finance committee. Also, if you're not on the board, you probably shouldn't be on the finance committee. Or could we clarify that?
Yeah, that was the plan, that even though he would not serve on the board, we were under the impression that people on the various committees of the school could come from the community. And as still a trusted, known, respected member of the community, we were going to ask him to continue to serve on the finance committee. If that's not permissible, then not only would he resign from the board, then he would not serve on the finance committee.
I would say, yes, you can have members from the community to serve on committees. That is correct. I think I would, if I were advising the board, I would say we want to avoid any actual or apparent conflict of interest. And it could be, one could conclude that is an apparent or appearance of conflict of interest. But ultimately, you need to follow your bylaws and follow, technically it would be allowed. I think it would probably not be advised.
Very good. We will take that under advisement.
Chairman Quigley, can I ask another question regarding conflict of interest or potential conflicts of interest?
Yes.
It relates to Robert Logan and David. I believe he works for that company, at least that's what the application said. And that was one of the resources that they're going to use for their ed plan.
That is correct. I am a senior officer in the organization of AVID. AVID is a career and college readiness organization. It is not uncommon for people with organizations to serve on boards as long as they recuse themselves from any business dealings that the school may have with the organization. It is one of our plans to train the SABA teachers in the AVID strategies and for them to utilize those tools and resources in working with the students. But that's not something that I would have direct contact or interaction with. But could always recuse myself from any decision making around those, around SABA and AVID.
I guess I would just ask for some clarity. So help us understand this again. So you're a board member of that organization, of AVID, is that correct?
No, I'm an employee of the organization. Right.
And you're going to contract with that organization as the school board?
There has been, the plan is to train the SABA teachers in the strategies that AVID utilizes in its practices. And that does necessitate contracting between the school and the AVID organization. But that is something that I would not have to be a part of. I would not play a role in that. And at any such time that a decision or some sort of formal action were to be taken by the SABA board relative to AVID, I could recuse myself from that action.
Would you have any financial interest or benefit financially from that arrangement?
I would not. That's an excellent question. I would not. As a member of the administration of the organization, we are not paid on the basis of commission or business or anything like that. So whether or not SABA were to work with the Abbott organization would not in any way benefit me financially or otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be something that, shouldn't move forward, that you should certainly have your attorneys look at. And I mean, again, it's apparent or appearance of conflict in addition to actual, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to avoid anything that can be seen as a self-dealing transaction, as you all know, former superintendent.
Yes, definitely.
So, okay.
Sure.
Other questions on board members on facility?
Can you quickly explain again? You said there's a partnership with Preston Development. Can you explain that?
Yes, Preston Development is the same organization that basically built Cary, North Carolina.
It's owned by the Good Knights.
You're right, the Good Night Group, right. They are building a development in Chatham County called Chatham Park, P-A-R-K. SABA has established a relationship with Chatham Park. And the school, the permanent location of the school was set on the fringe of the community. And we have met and talked with leadership of Preston Development relative to their partnering with SABA. Partnering including things such as volunteering, mentoring, potential financial contributions to the school, as well as allowing SABA students to utilize arts projects in the Chatham Parks community, or conduct arts projects in the Chatham Park community.
Thank you.
For just four of the particulars that were discussed with Preston leadership. And we have a letter Ms. Toomer submitted in our revised information, a letter of support from Preston Wood signed by one of their executive vice presidents is included in our additional information.
Okay, other questions, facility related, mission related?
I guess my question, Alex, is when the facility has been identified, are we certain that it's going to be able to get an educational occupancy certificate of occupancy?
I'll be happy to respond to that as well.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Having served for the majority of my 44 years in education, I was in school administration for approximately 30 of those years. And while serving in the role of superintendency, of course, I was very familiar with all types of occupancy credentials necessary for children to occupy a building. The particular facility that we are partnering with is presently a community youth center. So it already meets fire standards, safety standards for young people to be in the facility. So upon inspection and observation, we did not notice anything that we feel would be a hindrance or deterrent from obtaining a certificate of occupancy for children to occupy the building as a school. Of course, that would still need, fire marshals got to look at it and other people as well. The state would have to look at it, but the facility is presently used for that purpose, for young people, for youth. So we don't feel that it is a structure that would require a lot of modifications to obtain that certificate of occupancy.
Okay, thank you. Alex, I did have a question with regards to the grade span. I know last time we really didn't get into the application very much at all because of the question around the mission. But I'm just wondering, ultimately, it's a 312. Why not K-12? And, you know, what was the reasoning for 3-5 initially, starting off with 3 tested grades from Jump Street?
I can jump in and answer that. My name is Felicia Watson. Again, like everyone else, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having us. But when we think about why we chose to start with grades 3 through 5, a huge part of what we strive to accomplish with SABA is really helping and serving as a savior, so to speak, for some of those students that may not be getting the support that they need at their current school or are just essentially below grade level. I can say, speaking from a parent of a child that is below grade level, for me personally, I didn't have sufficient evidence that my son needed alternative learning methods when he was in kindergarten. I enrolled him in public school because that's what I was familiar with and that's what I knew. Even as he continued to struggle through kindergarten and first grade, I tried, interventions such as tutors and learning centers and testing and things of that degree to no avail. He still continued to struggle. It wasn't until he got into the second grade that I really entered into a state of emergency where I knew that I really needed to identify an alternative learning structure for my child. And let me tell you, there's no worse feeling than feeling like you can't help your child when they're struggling, right? I think you guys definitely, I know a lot of you serve on school boards and are head of school, so I know you can imagine. But just knowing that I have something to go to that will provide my son with the supplemental educational needs that he has is what we see for SABA. SABA is a place that students can go that are behind, and we can help build them up. So that was a huge part of why we decided to start with third grade. By no means would we not consider being open to kindergarten through second grade, but a huge part of starting with third grade was to be that source for students to kind of help those that are behind and kind of be that place for them to get up to speed and where they need to be.
Which for me means you start with kindergarten so they don't get behind, but that's just my thought. Thank you for your answer, Ms. Watson.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, just a quick question. This is Rita Hare. In their org chart, they have a position of a family outreach coordinator. It's not in the budget, so I'm just curious, is that a volunteer position?
Someone answer that question.
Yes, that would in essence be a volunteer position with a part of parent organization. So it would not be anything that SABA would need to fund.
Okay, and also you have no one for food service. So how would that work with no staff providing food service?
Okay, I can talk about our school lunch program. My name is Sonia Logan, and I am been in education for 27 years. I would like to say that SABA will be participating in the National School Lunch Program and offer free and reduced lunch to those who qualify. And we are anticipating a lot of students that fall into that category. So knowing that the National Lunch Program is nutritional, we will definitely want to use that to prepare our students with the necessary health and growth and productive learners. We have talked with 2 area school districts in the surrounding counties, and once we are closer to their budget time, and SABA board will make permanent arrangements. All options will be analyzed and based on their cost, experience, knowledge of, and ability to deliver in the compliance area that we have indicated with the National School Lunch Program. We have a letter of support from one of our surrounding counties, and it is included in the revision. one of our surrounding counties and their support by partnering with Saba to provide the breakfast and lunch program. And of course, I received another piece of information today that from another school district that they are willing to consider and put us in there with the way in which they process their school lunch applications.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Could we have a board member, it can be Ms. Toomer, it can be another board member, kind of walk us through the educational vision around the program? Just the plan in general, kind of give us the highlight.
Absolutely. A quick highlight would be our entire educational plan is nestled under culturally responsive teaching and learning. We will obviously follow the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, but we have 3 other major components in our educational plan, as you guys have noticed. It is our Howard Gardner Multiple Intelligences, which is how students learn. It is AVID, which we've discussed, is how students will sustain their learning. And of course, the arts, which is how students will apply their learning. So all of those things under culturally responsive teaching and learning, all of those things interwoven together through curriculum mapping and pacing guides and weekly lesson plan checks, walkthroughs, observations, and the sort is our entire curriculum plan. We have to make sure that our boys are seeing themselves in the curriculum, in every part of the curriculum every day. And so that's why our umbrella is culturally responsive teaching and learning.
Yeah, and I saw the culturally responsive woven throughout. What is your specific reading approach to reading, particularly bringing in students 3rd grade, high stakes tests? I mean, you're familiar as a principal yourself. So what is do you have a reading curriculum that you've considered adopting, or what is that going to look like?
So we mentioned a little bit of that, or in our application, we have not identified a ready-made curriculum for reading. It is something that we integrated with more of theme units or thematic units throughout at Saba. And so you will notice a part of our sample thematic unit that we prepared for you guys. It listed how we would take a look at all of the standards in the standard course of study and make sure that we are interwoven or making sure that the contents are intersynced. And so we would provide our teachers with more so resources that support culturally responsive teaching and learning. So, it could be the Teaching Tolerance or the rethinkingschools.org or the Zen Education Project, making sure that we know where to pull culturally responsive teaching resources from. We don't want teachers to feel that we say culturally responsive, but then we don't provide a platform for them to use. So we are aware, and we all have served in schools, and our goal was to identify ways in which Saba would be different. So we are not necessarily married to one succinct reading program, but we also are aware that we have to provide resources to our scholars that would demonstrate that they are able to read and that they understand phonics and that they have a good reading comprehension. But it is about the type of text that we will be utilizing, but definitely not married to one particular resource. But we are all well versed in iReady, and we have seen star reading, and so we have those things. But again, just providing more of a culturally responsive curriculum resource package for teachers is going to be where we stand.
Do you anticipate needing to do a lot of remediation, and how are you going to, if so, how are you going to kind of target that? What are you going to use to target that? Because I understand the need for culturally responsive instruction, but at the end of the day, blending words is blending words, right? And kind of how you go about doing that. The type of text and literature you can put in front of kids is really important in terms of reflecting students' background. But some of the technical aspects that are particularly with your students that are going to come in behind? What is your kind of approach to thinking there?
Absolutely. And we have included some of that in our budget because we recognize, for example, we have utilized Renaissance, and you may be familiar with Renaissance and programs, and they have the STAR reading and the STAR math. So we will utilize that as more of a benchmark, as more of a precursor to, well, where are we receiving boys from? You know, where are their starting points? And then be able to utilize that data, particularly utilizing Renaissance. You know, in Chatham, we have used Renaissance for years as a baseline, and it is directly correlated to the end of grade test. So we anticipate, although, you know, we don't have to commit to all the programs that are a part of Renaissance, but using that as a baseline to collect data for where our boys are. And we can progress monitor them through the use of the Renaissance program as well.
Okay. You talked a little bit about assessment and how, you know, you'll follow the standard course of study assessments and whatnot, but then also use formative assessments. What, you know, as you think about that, how do you integrate those components through the arts? How do you decide what standardized tests how much of a focus on standardized tests? There was some talk about, you know, tests don't always show the value of the whole child, but you know, they are a reality. So what's your kind of thinking and approach there?
If I'm understanding your question, you are asking what modes of assessment will we be using if we are an art school, recognizing that the standard course of study is how we're assessed. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm
more clearly than I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, with the standard course of study, we will still use our formative and summative assessments. But how we get to the formative and summative assessments is how we utilize the arts form, is how we utilize our AVID strategies, whether it's the marking in the text or the seminars or the turn and talk with our neighbors. But making sure that we understand how the students learn is going to come above all of those things. But we will still use formative and summative assessments. We will still utilize DPI's resources that they have for teachers and educators with some of the pre-existing assessments that are out there as well. But we know that we must utilize the arts to further deepen the students' understanding of the context. So if they're learning about planets, you know, it may be that they're using body movement to indicate how far the sun is from each of the planets. You know, it may be that they put on a performance that would show how the earth was formed or how planets were formed or the rings that exist on planets. So again, we want to make it very clear that we are going to follow the standard course of study, but in the midst of science and social studies and math and everything that we do, you will see the arts. You will see them, you know, arts, a comprehensive arts education as well. You'll see the arts integration, you know, where that's everyone, and you'll see the arts exposure even within the community. But we will have heavy emphasis on visual arts, dance, music, and theater for their learning, but they still will have paper and pencil or computers to make sure that they are being assessed on the standards set by the state.
All right. Good. What are we at for time, Ms. Beccaro? I lost track there, but I feel like we must be getting close to.
You have about 2 minutes left for your 25-minute discussion.
Other board members, questions?
Alex, my concern, I guess is the best word, is the budget. The break even is virtually, I see that they've added a few schools few students to the number, but the break even for the first year is 110, and they're projecting 116 students. You can see there, it's very slim. And I don't think that there are some things that are fleshed out in the budget cost-wise.
Mr. Quigley, how would you like for us to?
Yeah, I would say if you could just help us understand your thinking around the break-even components and what are we, what is your response to Ms. Reeves' comment?
Tavares, are you here? Did we lose Tavares?
He's having difficulty getting off mute. He's talking, but we can't hear him.
Tavares, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. You're still muted. Try again. Thank you all for your patience. Tavares, press the unmute again. There it is.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We got you now.
Good, good. Well, I get that we're saying our margins are slim in this case with the break even being at 110. That's why we added, say we was going to go up to 116 students, which will cover a few things that we have in our budget right now. As you can see, if you go and look at the last page of our budget, we have a surplus of about 11,000 at that point. And to that end, I'm sorry I didn't catch where you said that we had some things were sort of light. Could you please enlighten me on that, and I can just tell you what our thinking was and how we can handle that.
Sherry, could you jump in there with what you had?
Or where we can kind of move and take.
Yeah, I'm getting to my next thing on.
Mr. Quigley, would it be helpful if we share things that we adjusted since the last time you guys
Yeah,
were
that would be good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I can jump into that really quick, Ms. Toomer. And the last things that we changed were we went into teacher salaries, and we noticed that based on you guys' last conversation that we were at 42, and we put it up to 45 to be just a little more competitive with our competitors out there, and as well as we wanted to try to get more experienced teachers, so we figured a higher salary would commence more experienced teachers. We also, like I said before, we added 6 more students to kind of bolster the budget as well. And we also noticed that Mr. Logan talked about earlier was this Sprott Center. And they said they would take care of all the utilities and everything that would save some money on our budget as well. And those are the things that we changed inside of here. Now, if you start to see year 2 through 5, we didn't even have any other revenues other than the state funding in year 1. And after year 2, we said we want to be 60% or around 60% as far as the student lunch program is concerned. So we are going after Title I funds. So in those Title I funds, it'll give us 6% back into our budget. And if you go and look at the end results, we are in year 2, we're at 2%. At year 3, we're at just 1%, but that's when we go into our new facilities, and we anticipate having just a little more cost than normal. And at year 4, we're at 4%. At year 5, we're at 9%. I'm feeling like that is a good place to be as far as extra funds are concerned. And with those extra funds, like I said, we haven't even added the fact that we're going to do fundraising. We haven't added the fact that we're having donors. We haven't added the fact that we're going to do anything other than receive the state's money and the federal money for student lunch programs. So, and just looking at this, I think that our budget will be bolstered in the fact that we will have these revenues coming in, and we anticipate these revenues coming in.
Yeah. Okay. Generally, you don't want to. That's the way to do it. You don't want to be banking on outside funds to float operations. I think if you could consider if you increase the number of students slightly again, with such a small, the concerns with such a small.
May I have your attention, please?
with such a small starting number, one, you run the risk of missing your enrollment. If you miss your enrollment targets, you're in jeopardy of.
Well, can I be asked as well? Can I jump back in with you?
Yeah.
Well, in order to handle this, so to speak, we are not going to just hire all our teachers at one time. We're going to have a set base of saying, hey, after we get around 18, 19 students, that's when we'll actually bring on individuals to be a part of the school at that point. So our budget will kind of flow with the number of students at that point. So that's how we kind of compensate for the fact that if we don't get, this solid number here, those are places that we are going to look at first before we actually open the doors and saying, hey, we have 6 teachers year one and that. And unless we have our numbers, that's when we'll put our people in.
Yeah, I think the data just really supports that, on average, schools are opening with about 75% of the number of students that they tell us that they're opening with. So statistically, your budget wants to reflect the ability to absorb essentially a 25% hit in student, a break even that's about 25% below what you expect to realize in student recruitment. So we just get more concerned when schools are, there's kind of we don't want schools to start too big, we don't want to start too small, but there's kind of some sweet, you're just a little bit on the side of potentially, there'll be more pressure on the board to hit those recruitment numbers if this goes forward, and you're also doing it in an accelerated timeline. So I think that's just what's engendering some of the concern among board members. But at this time, I'm going to stop the Q&A right now, and just open it up for board discussion. We have about 10 minutes to I'm going to allow Saba to give their closing statement at this time. Saba, you have 10 minutes.
Again, Mr. Quigley and the board, thank you all so much again for allowing us the opportunity to come before you again. This opportunity means a lot, not just to us, but the boys that we will be enrolling in the future. And we recognize that a lot of information has been presented in our application. A lot of information and decisions have been presented today. A lot of things were said today. But one of the things that we didn't get to say during our time was our why, part of our why. And a part of our why dates back almost 20 years ago when a little boy walked into my 4th grade classroom. And if you picture this, he was a little boy who, from the exterior, he appeared very rough. He had sagging clothes and floppy shoes, and his hair was unkempt, and he used language that I wouldn't dare repeat even as an adult. And we lost him. And we lost him because we did not recognize his innate abilities early. We did not recognize that he was an artist. I had this child for 2 years in my classroom, and while I was able to grow him academically, I was able to do that via the arts. When he did not want to communicate, we used the arts. When he did not want to write, we used the arts. When he did not want to even form letters on a paper, we used the arts. And that is how we were able to reach him. But after he left my classroom that 5th grade year, he moved on and we lost him. At 14, he murdered someone, allegedly in self-defense. And we lost him because we did not see how to reach him earlier. And I was being reflective here recently. I read this book to my children. Tavares and I have 3 kids. We have an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And for the first 2 years of their lives, we've been reading this book every night. And the book is called When the World Was Waiting for You. And when I thought most recently about that book, I used it to correlate to Saba. When Saba was waiting for you, when Saba was waiting for these boys. And I want you to think about that, and I'll give you the words in this book, and it says, when the world was waiting for you, the air was bright, the sun seemed new. We made your room so warm and snug with crib and blanket, lamp and rug. There were toys and presents too, waiting just for you. Will it be soon? Is baby here? Not yet, darling. Wait, my dear. Then the time to wait was past. You were born at last, at last. We held you close and spoke your name, so full of joy, so glad you came. The good news spread from near and far. They came to see our little star. Granny, Grandpa, Cousin Polly, Uncle John, and Auntie Molly. Jiggle baby on your knee, upsy daisy, 1, 2, 3. But when the parties were all done and the visitors had gone, you were there, so sweet, so small, the dearest baby of them all. Now the world still waits for you to grow and bloom and be and do. Saba is waiting for the boys. We just need a yes. We just need a yes. Saba is waiting for the boys. But more importantly, the boys have been waiting for Saba. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here today to present our compelling need, and it's our boys. Because that little boy who walked into my classroom almost 20 years ago, he is represented in the 30 to 40% achievement gap that exists nationwide. And it is our job to make sure that we close that gap and that there is a need and not a need for Saba in years to come, that what we are doing, that Saba will become the norm, that Saba will be a national standard. So thank you guys for the opportunity, and our boys, thank you in advance.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm assuming that's the closing of your statement and your open time. So at this time, we'll close discussion with the school and open discussion for the charter school board members. Board members, what are your thoughts on Saba at this time?
Alex and Sherry, I feel that there is a compelling case for the school. Clearly, we're not reaching many of our males, especially males that are culturally and linguistically diverse. And I like the way they put that. And we do have, in this instance, a community that is supporting them by providing a youth center at low cost, providing the utilities for them. They're going to need every break they can get with regards to the budget. That is my concern for the school, is there cannot be one student that's not acquired, because it will derail the budget.
Yep, other thoughts?
That is my concern too. Strong mission, strong presentation, lots of passion, and it is innovative and could meet the need in this community. And it's not that large a goal, 110 for school size, but for the first year for all male boys who are culturally and linguistically differentiated, it may be challenging to reach that enrollment, which will impact budget. And from what I've heard from them, I think they could prepare for that. Seems like a very strong board. And whichever way it goes, I want to tell Valencia, we've had talks about elevator speeches and the Gardners, how boys learn, AVID, how they sustain, and arts, how they apply it is memorable. So thank you for sharing.
This is Jeanette Butterworth, and I totally agree. I think this school is exciting. I'd love to see it move forward. I think they're going to need to really, really work to get their numbers met, to make sure that they enroll each and every one of those kids in the beginning, so that they can move forward with their education plan. But I'm excited about the school, and I support it moving forward.
This is First Friend. If it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve Saba for moving forward for opening.
All right. Okay.
I'll second that. This is Jeanette Butterworth.
We need to know that that's on an accelerated status.
Yes.
Just to clarify that the acceleration is based on the unique student population, the structure of the school, and then the compelling need, the innovative method of the school. All of these things support the compelling need. Guess I'm asking for clarification.
Yeah, that was my evaluation of need, was urgent need with this specific population, coupled with, we're talking about an area that actually doesn't have that many charter schools. Certainly, based on none that particularly serve this student population, and just an absolutely explosive growth in this specific area. I was kind of, I guess, does the board feel that it meets the compelling need?
I do personally.
I agree. This is Jeanette.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me where if this was not an acceleration, I would be like, good to go. With it being acceleration, you have to think about it a little bit more. Trying to see what exactly. I think that it does. That's kind of my judgment on it. Just think what the school's doing is something that's important, and I'll say this isn't really kind of my cup of tea as far as the thing, but as far as the curriculum plan and things like that, it's but that's one of the beautiful things about charter schools, is to have the innovation and to have something different and to have options for parents that would want this. And I just think that the so noble in the goal and the passion that's there, and hearing some of the stories about the students, which I'm sure we would have for every charter school, it makes it a closer call with acceleration. But if I have to choose between this school going forward on acceleration or not going forward at all, then I'm going with this school going forward with acceleration.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I believe Bruce made a motion. Is that correct?
Bruce made a motion and Jeanette seconded to move.
Okay, so we properly moved and seconded. I missed that. Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion at this time? All right, well,
Go ahead. And just to clarify, this motion is to move them forward with acceleration, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so we'll call for a roll call vote.
Okay. Jeanette Butterworth?
Aye.
Bruce Friend?
Aye.
Rita Hare?
Aye.
Lynn Kroger?
Aye.
Hilda Parlay?
She had to leave.
Oh, she did? Okay. Alex Quigley?
Aye.
Sherry Reeves?
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon?
Aye.
And Stephen Walker?
Aye.
All right, congratulations. You pass unanimously and will be forwarded to the State Board of Education.
All right.
Thank you all so much for your faith in us, and we appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve our community.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
All right. We have, that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we have director's updates. Mr. Machado.
All right, Alex, I'll try to be as quick as I can for you. A few State Board of Ed updates. They did approve the NC Access Timeline application and rubric that you recommended. They approved Wood's charter request for a weighted lottery. And Ashley presented the virtual charter school report. Not very many questions on it. She did a great job preparing and presenting, so that was good. As far as OCS updates, we have a new consultant on board, Melanie Rackley. And Melanie, if you're on the line, if you'd like to say just a few words about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. This is Melanie Rackley, new to the OCS team, so I'm certainly honored and privileged to speak with you all today, and I'm thankful to observe today the parliamentary proceedings. Just took it as a learning opportunity today. I have been with the agency for 5 years now, so I'm not new to DPI. I certainly hope to establish relationships with each one of you individually and collectively. And certainly we're in unprecedented times, and it's, level of difficulty connecting virtually, but I'm certainly open. You all can contact me via email. Do not yet have a phone extension, but certainly open to just drop me an email. I'm looking forward to working with you and further streamlining the application process moving forward. And just about me is, I look at children and students of North Carolina as our greatest asset and investment. So certainly looking forward to working with OCS and CSAB to continue to bring quality education to our students and to better North Carolina. So really thankful and look forward to meeting each one of you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie.
Melanie will be leading the application process when she gets a little more comfortable with the process, and Dr. Jones will be transitioning over to professional development. So we're really happy to add Melanie and use Dr. Jones's expertise in professional development. I sent everybody our new workflows. I hope you did see that. We've got a few new workflows in dividing up our manpower a little more across the board. You can see the amount of work that our office does, and again, really pleased with the quality of work that our office is putting out. We did have our first RTO planning session last month, and it was virtual and was very successful. So we're really pleased with that. We've been talking about going virtual for a while, and the pandemic is obviously forcing us to do that, but we were Claire did a fantastic job, and we're really pleased with the way that went. Dr. Cooper gave you a good report today on renewals. Those visits have been virtual also. It's a little different than what we're used to. They've been going very well, and we do intend to maybe do a survey of all our schools when this is over with to see what their thoughts were on the virtual visits. And then we are continuing our office hours every Monday from 11:30 to 12:30. That's when we have a WebEx for all leaders across the state where they can share best practices, different ideas, and it's been really successful with particularly the schools sharing that are in face-to-face instruction with the schools thinking about going in. So that's been very successful. So again, you can see we're doing a lot of work under some very unusual circumstances, and I really appreciate the great discussions we had today with last 2 days with CSAB, and I thank you for all your hard work. And Chairman Quigley, that's it.
All right, fantastic. We are 9 minutes ahead of schedule based on the agenda. So even more, actually more than that. So
Ashley, do we need to talk about next month's meetings? It's going to be 2 days, correct?
Yes, I think we should be able to have 2 days similar to this month. We will have 7 first round interviews and 2 second round. So 9 interviews total, which I think is 1 more than we had this month. Or maybe it's what we had this month. I don't know. Very similar. So we will have those, and what else will we have? We will have the renewal school interviews. And I don't know if you recall, but when at one point State Board put stipulations on Three Rivers that they must present every November to the CSAB, So they will also need to return and present on academic, financial, and governance information based on that stipulation. So that's what I have so far for the draft agenda. And as always, I will send out a draft in the next couple days for your review.
All right, sounds good.
Yep.
Ashley, when will we get our initial report on the audits from FBS?
I am not sure on that. I believe they should be coming out soon and should be here by next, I believe they will give a presentation next month on that. But I'm not sure how far in advance they will have that prepared.
Yeah, Sherry, they're obviously, audits are due October 31st.
That's
So,
next month.
and so hopefully, particularly for our renewal schools, we will be able to give you, they'll either be able to give you an update or our office can on the financial status of our renewal schools at our November meeting.
All right,
Okay.
Stephen?
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and second, all in favor?
Aye. Goodbye,
Have a
everybody.
great month, everybody.
Thanks.
Lawrence, we're good to turn off live stream.